What is going on, everybody? We are back, the ABJ Podcast. This is going to be another fun one. We're bringing it back. We took 2 months off. I know you guys missed us, but we are back doing some fun things. Before we get into anything, let's do the stupid housekeeping, internet panhandling, shaking our cups. Make sure you check out the links below. Support not just myself, but all of my guest links, so you can check them out on all social media, ways to support them, events you can go check out, and how to support what they're doing when it comes to their art and what they're chasing and their dreams. Brand new merchandise is available now. We dropped a whole bunch of stuff over on the Teespring side. So this one's gonna be a little catered to the Skook. So we just put the new Skookle Mall spoof out because it's dead. They can't chase me for that logo. The Gears iced tea, the chocolate milk one, they're both out. Tons and tons of ones. Maybe a hub logo, you use your imagination, and then also the fan logo. So the only podcast you should be listening to is only ABJ's. All right. That's not true. Listen to everybody, support everybody, but you get the whole point. I'm not going to say that there's a whole, you get it. Anyway, let's have some fun with my guest here today. Also, if you notice, we're not doing numbers anymore. Number episodes, they're done. It's like when the WWE stopped saying WrestleMania number and they just said the year. We're going to try that. We're going to try just no numbers and just go from there, because I think it looked Kugati in the thing. None of you care. This is just in my brain. So let's bring in my guest today, the most recent Miss Schuylkill County for Pride. So I probably butchered that, so they'll probably fix it for me. So let's bring in Jackie Hoffner. All right, stumbling already. Here we go. There he is. There they are. There we go. All right. How are we doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. I'm really, really thankful you're doing this. I've been new to the drag scene. I'm only in a couple, maybe a year now. I've been going to some shows, but not as many as I should be. I will be changing that very soon. But it's such a fun art form. Like I as a pro wrestling fan, they blend so well. With the performance and the names and the glamour and the pageantry, it's all there. The only thing you just don't do is beat each other up. Yeah.
Everybody has an alter ego.
Yeah.
Someone has to just represent it.
Yes, I appreciate that. So you are, before we get started, introduce yourself and the drag name so I don't mess it up.
So I am your current reigning Miss Schuylkill County Pride, Vindicticia F Glamour.
Awesome. Well, let's just kick it off there. How did you land your drag name?
So funny story. I started off wanting to take revenge on something. We're gonna go something.
Okay.
And I ended up falling in love with it. I only wanted to perform once, honestly, and then I ended up loving it. And then I'm like, well, this is a thing now. And one of my friends was like, how about vindictive? And I go, Vindictica. And then glamour. It's beautiful revenge backwards.
Yeah. That's so good. I love that so much. Now, when you first started, how did you get into like the look or the style or what your presentation was?
So I actually am what's considered an AFAB queen. Mm-hmm. I always wanted to do that. So I actually started in the drag scene as a photographer.
Oh.
For a good 3 years. I did mostly pageant photography, stuff like that, but I was very good friends with an abundance of queens. Trixie Valentine being one of them.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, like I started off as photography, and then everybody was so supportive, and they're like, do it, try it. If you don't like it, you don't have to do it. So, I mean, I tried it and loved it.
Yes. So I know we talked a little bit about this on the Miss Misfit episode. Could you explain to people who may not know what AFAB means?
So AFAB is assigned female at birth. And I consider myself a drag queen no matter what, but some people that are in the drag scene that are AFAB want to go as an AFAB queen or a bio queen or a hyper queen. I am just a drag queen having fun.
Yeah. Now, what are the different, like the bio queen, hyper queen? Like, what are those differences when it comes to the style? Are they different styles or just way you're?
They're not different styles. They're just what they prefer, like pronouns almost.
Okay.
But awesome. I'm just a drag queen.
Nah. Now in the drag, so I'm still learning a lot about it. So since getting into it, I went to my first show, one of Trixie's shows, and then I went to I started watching Dragula, and I was hooked. That is definitely my style. I love the punk, the filth, the horror aspect. I appreciate it all, but I definitely lean more there. And I remember saying, I was like, I don't think I'm going to get into like watching Drag Race because I think I found my love. You know what I mean? And then we started, so we started watching, I got Paramount Plus. for drag, and I started watching the RuPaul series with my partner, and it's awesome. I will be a bias. I was watching the first couple seasons and just like, all right, let's just get to the season of the person I want to see the most, because I guess when you're trying to learn drag, everyone's telling me their favorites and their names, and there's a name that came up besides Miss Valentine. Mattel Trixie has been coming up so much. Yeah. So I was waiting for the season when they showed up, and I fell, and they're amazing. But I'm gonna hope I don't say this. Katiana or Kati?
Yeah, Katiana. Yeah,
Katiana is the greatest of all time. That is like, if it was pro wrestling terms, like that's my Stone Cold, that's my Shawn Michaels. Katiana is the best. They're so entertaining, but like I think that for me, the RuPaul scene is doing a better job for me of like, I love learning about people and their background and learning like that season. I really think they hit it home with especially Trixie and Katiana about coming from nothing and coming from places where like I said, I'm very close-minded. School county sometimes, but living in a trailer park and then coming out and being who you are is such a beautiful thing. And I really fell in love with that season, and I think that's a season that really kicked me off in the drag race.
Okay.
Yeah,
I love that.
Do you have any other suggestions of people coming up that I should definitely keep an eye out for?
Sasha Colby.
Sasha Colby.
She is mother. She is everything. That's season 15.
Okay.
But she actually is a pageant queen herself, and she won Miss Continental, which is big in the trans community. And she is just such a light and a guidance to a lot of people and makes them feel accepted.
Yes.
And I love that.
It's interesting too how much has changed even with just watching that show, of like how things are said, like, let's go, fellas. Like they actually, like the way they would change the pronouns up from the beginning of the season and as it progressed. And gentlemen, start your engines kind of even changed later on. And a lot of that stuff, like watching the evolution of the show has been really fun. But also seeing the different styles. Because before, like from my understanding is for a while, trans were not allowed to compete in drag, and AFAB were not allowed to compete, and even that has changed in such a short time because the scene has just exploded and everybody wants to express themselves and do their art.
Now we have the German drag race, that Pandora's Box.
Okay.
She is an AFAB queen, and she won drag race in Germany.
Is that one of the first times on like a mainstream level where AFAB has won that?
Yes.
That's super exciting.
So that's big. That's huge for us.
So I'm watching, I guess, season 1. They didn't call them monsters then, but Sharon Needles won. Yeah. But I guess they got in trouble. It happens in pro wrestling. People get canceled and get in trouble all the time. But watching, I was like, all right, a horror person won super early. But it was kind of cool to see that. But then I think I was messaging Miss Misfit, and I'm like, yo, a horror person won. She goes, yeah, I have to sit down with you and tell you everything. Calm down. It's like me explaining Hulk Hogan to somebody. Like, I get it. He rips his shirt off. He's been around a lot. He's shitty person. He's terrible human.
There's a lot of backstory.
Yeah. Hulk Hogan is very racist, allegedly. I don't want to get sued, but we know. Wink, wink. Yeah. But so yeah, when did you actually? We kind of did tell us about yourself and what you do, but when did you actually get involved? How did you, like you said, you've been doing photographer for a while, but when you got into it, were you at a show and someone's like, just give it a shot? Like, what was the spark that actually got you moving forward?
So starting like photography wise, I was a photographer before that, and I photographed horses and stuff like that. So I already had like mainstream like action shots. You know what I mean? That was my thing. So I actually started going to shows after I befriended a bunch of queens and started photographing.
Did we lose you? Uh-oh.
Okay. Sorry.
You're good.
Calling you.
You're popular.
Yeah. So I actually, I started photographing the queens that I were really close to, and I fell in love with that. And then I had some other things happen and just decided I wanted to go in a different route and brand myself. And I was like, let's try drag. And I did, and I fell in love. And I already had a background. I already had people that supported me, no matter if it was photography or in drag, and they were trying to push me for drag anyway. So I was like, let's give it a shot.
Do you still do photography at all?
I do. I actually just photographed Miss Gay Pittsburgh.
Ooh.
Yes. So Miss Gay Pittsburgh was Alanya Chest, and she asked me to come out and photograph every one of their contestants as like an alternate prize package. Whether you win or lose, you walked away with something.
Okay.
So everyone got promo shots.
That's awesome. I love that. Now, has it been difficult transitioning? Now, I'm just saying this from from my experience. I got into the pro wrestling side being more production. So I would come and bring my equipment, and my equipment would be used to do commentary or backstage interviews and all that stuff. And the whole time I'm kind of like, I'm good with this. And then they're like, you should try commentary. And then I did it one time. And then for a while there, I struggled with, am I the guy who brings the equipment, or am I the guy who now does it? You know what I mean? And it was that one thing where it's like, am I being booked or used because I was someone who helped the scene so much? Or are they booking me because of my skill? And that's something I struggle with for a long time.
So being a baby queen, which I was for the first year, being a baby queen and learning and getting into things, you have to kind of make a name for yourself. So I would reach out to hosts and I would be like, hey, I'll exchange a photo shoot for a tip spot. They didn't have to pay me, but I also got something out of it as well as they did. So I earned my way into the scene.
Yeah.
Which a lot of queens don't have that asset.
Yeah. I want to break down some terminology. So the people listening who may not be into the scene, a tip spot, can you break that down?
So a tip spot is basically you keep all your tips, but you don't get paid from the venue or the host.
Okay. So it's like working the door if you're like a local band. You're not getting paid by the venue, but whatever you make at the door is yours.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I love it. Breaking down the terminology. I'm learning as well as hopefully my audience.
For sure. It just gives it's something to get you seen. And you may only do one number, but it gives you something where your name is out there and you create your own following.
Yeah. And you get that rep of performing.
Yes.
Now, were you always someone who was into performing arts or theater or dance or anything? Or were you just kind of like throwing yourself into it?
I was a techie, if you know what that is.
Okay,
I am that backstage. They called me prop mistress back in the day. So people were afraid if they didn't bring their prop back.
Okay.
But that was my thing. You know what I mean? I dealt with a lot of backstage stuff. I never wanted to be on stage, honestly.
Yeah. But was it hard transitioning from being someone who's always been the supporting role to now being out and being in front of everybody?
Yes. Yes. But I'll tell you, it was the best decision I ever made.
Yeah. Did it mentally, did it break you out of a shell, make you more personable? Like not more personable, but more like I think sometimes when people do the supporting roles, they're more, I guess, more introverted or not. They don't want the spotlight. They don't want the attention, but those backstage roles are so crucial to any art form and anything you do, because if you're not on your game, somebody else doesn't get to get their performance out there.
Yep. That's why I emphasize like my dressers, like if I bring someone with me to help me dress, make sure I'm zipped, make sure my hair is good, make sure I have my earrings on, my rings are on, my nails are done. Like they take care of all of that. A lot of the times I tip them out like I would like a bartender or something like that. But they're so important to our backstage roles. So when I go on stage, I look my best.
Yeah. You do have an amazing look. Do you pull from something? For drag, people have a certain makeup style, like how we're talking about Trixie Mattel. They have those peacock eyes. You know what I mean? That's kind of where everything can change around that. But there's that one thing that stands out for you. What is that?
I don't know yet. I feel like I'm still developing a look for myself. But I will have to say that it's usually my big hair.
Yeah, I was gonna say every time I see you, it's the hair that stands out. The first thing you notice that you is the big hair. Yeah.
And my signature color is red usually. Usually hair. But I'm a very country queen, so a lot of the times you'll see me in boots.
Got you. That's why the skooks like you. For some reason, all the skooks, for some reason, it's like being in the South in certain spots you go to. I'm like, what are we doing here? Like,
if Shania doesn't come out, we're not doing drag here.
Yeah. Yeah. When I first seen you with the big red hair, every time I seen it, like I guess from when I always had an idea of what drag was, there's like a style or a look, like and the big hair has always been something I've seen, and it's not everyone does it. I guess the more modern look is more sleek, and the big hair is probably not the easiest to perform in, or it gets caught on things, but it's almost like the Peg Bundy look is what I call it. Like, yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is.
Yeah, the Peg Bundy look.
You wouldn't even know how much like glue that goes into my hair just to keep it on.
Now how much? I have long hair and I've never wore a wig. It looks like it's super uncomfortable. Is it hard? Like, if you have longer hair, how do you manage both?
So a lot of the times I braid it, or I just like slick it back as hard as I can into like a ponytail. Because I have a lot of hair. My hair comes down mid-waist. So like I'm wrapping that up, getting it in there, like hairspray is going on, gel, and then I have an adhesive that goes along my hairline to keep my wigs on, and like glued on. It stays. I've only lost my wig once in the whole year I've been doing drag.
Really? Well, isn't that like a bit too, where like when it comes off, people like go crazy for it? It's like a wig pop or something?
I have no hey, YOLO. Just keep going.
I think the first time I saw it was who was it?
Probably Trixie Valentine. I love her.
No, it wasn't. It was it was at a Trixie show. Delaney, I think. I think Delaney's the first time I saw a wig pop.
Delaney, I love.
Yeah, I think they did it on purpose though. I think they just threw it off, and I was like, ah! Everyone lost it. Yeah,
People eat that up.
I kept saying it's like, oh, in wrestling when the crowd goes crazy for something, we call it a pop. Oh, you got a pop.
Yep.
And they're like, oh, for us that's a wig pop, and I was like, this is so cool. I was probably so annoying at drag shows. I was asking so many questions. Yeah,
I love that.
I'm sorry, what were you saying?
That. No, I learned how to do a split in 6 months for drag.
No chance. I don't think I can do it.
Dedication.
Yeah.
Dedication.
I'd be afraid to rip something or rip a pants or pull a groin or something. It'd be terrible.
It was an interesting first experience, and then after I got doing it more and more, I ended up learning new tricks to go with it too. So it's been something. It's been interesting.
How do you develop that? Like if you said you've been backstage, maybe dancing or performing arts isn't your thing. Do you then go and take like dance lessons? Do you just make space in the living room, play music, and then just dance like no one's watching to teach yourself?
I guess it depends on who you are. So I was a line dancer since I was 16. Okay. We used to go to the local Cracker Barrel over not it's the bar.
Oh, I was gonna say, what do they shut down Cracker Barrels and do line dancing? It's something I didn't know.
The one over in Catawissa is a bar and grill, and they used to have line dancing. I think they still do. But I used to go every Wednesday and every Friday, and they taught line dancing on Wednesdays. So
I have to tell Lily this. She's been looking to go line dance. Like she's from Texas, so that's something that was really big for her. And she's been trying to find a location in the area that does that.
So Catawissa does it on Fridays. I do know that now. And then Thursdays at Capitol, they do line dancing.
Really?
They teach on Thursdays.
Awesome. So what kind of kid were you growing up? How did you fit in? You said you did a little bit of theater, but who were you before you broke into this queen that we now know?
Quiet. Like I didn't talk for 2 years of my life in middle school. Like quiet. Like we didn't talk. I was that all black emo kid in the back that said nothing to no one. That
it won't die for me. I'm keeping it forever.
Yep. And then I branched out into this. So I mean, here we are.
So was photography and your theater something that maybe made you more come out to people and be more extroverted?
Funny enough, horses actually.
Horses.
I branched out into horses when I was 16 when my grandmother passed away, and then started doing horse shows and stuff like that. And if you can get on a 1,000-pound animal and have people watch you ride that animal, nothing bothers you.
Yeah.
Nothing.
I've done so much craziness, but that's how you become versatile, in my opinion. If someone's like, "Do you want to try something?" I'll be like, "Yes." I just do it because you have an experience. So growing up, there was a lady who's like, she was getting older, and she's like, "Can someone help me with my horses?" And I was like, "I've never been even around a horse." So I went and I'm terrible with smells. Like if I get a bad smell, forget about it. I will throw up right then and there. But I go there and I start helping these horses. They all terrified me. And the one that was like the scariest one, like I kind of bonded with. It was the only male horse there. But I would like go in the stall and clean it while he's in there. And like the one time he stepped back and he stepped on my foot. But when he stepped back, he didn't put any pressure on it. Like he felt I was there. And then I just kind of like guided him a little bit away, and he just looked at me and he accepted it because like he's been known to like kick people and passively fight. But like I never had that. Same with the one pony. The one pony is mean as hell. They would bite and kick it. It was blind. It didn't know who it was around, so it freaked out. And like me and this pony became like best friends. But like they're intimidating animals. Like if you're never around them, you walk in, you're like it's a giant. It's a they're huge. Yeah.
I used to jump horses as well. So like jumping over a 3-foot fence with a horse, like you can't be afraid. You can't be afraid. So I learned to jump out of my shell from just riding horses.
That's awesome. That's super cool how what breaks people out, you know?
For sure.
So when did you start learning about the drag scene and why did you kind of gave a little bit of why, if you don't want to go into the full detail, but what made you get started with it?
What got me into the drag scene was actually one of my best friends. They wanted me to go to a drag show, and I was like, I don't know, it's not really my style, it's not my thing, whatever. Like, but we went, we had a great time. I met some amazing queens, one of them being Estella Sweet. So she's a very well-known queen up in Northeast PA. So we became friends, and I learned all about like some other queens and stuff like that, hung around with a bunch of them, and just ended up falling in love with the craft in general and appreciating it, the old school style of it. Not so much the new. I mean, I appreciate the new school style, don't get me wrong, but the old school drag, I am so close with queens that have been doing this for 20, 30 years. Some of them like 15, you know what I mean? Like some of them are legends. And I just love listening to like, oh, I was Miss Gay Pennsylvania back in 1999. Like that's incredible. Like, it's like sitting next to Miss America. You know what I mean? Like that's embarrassing, but I mean, it is what it is.
No, it's I get it. Like the same thing with like you watch some, like at least now, I guess when you say like, I'm trying to compare the two industries again, and I'm sorry if I'm making that parallel between this and wrestling, but like growing up, like watching wrestling, it was there. It had a boom era where everybody kind of like one point in time you watched pro wrestling or you were aware of it. And drag wasn't really a thing. Like even the terminology, like if you were drag or and I'm not trying to use any name, like cross-dressing, like trying to find those differentials and then explaining to the masses the differences between them all. And America's not the greatest at adapting to things that are new, especially if they're more in a maybe the queer would be the proper like it's not mainstream. It's not like even in the wrestling, if somebody did more of an androgynous, openly maybe gay or queer character, it was like immediately bad and people chanted horrible slurs at them. Like, but that's like those people had to crawl for other people to then come out, and then like for gay wrestlers to come out and be like, now there's all gay shows, like LGBTQ wrestling shows where everyone's part of the community and it's not even like thought of as a character. That's just who they are. And it's just a beautiful way to see it evolve, you know?
I think the most beautiful thing I've ever heard from somebody actually was from Jacob Kelly. And they told me that they wanted to be the person they needed as a kid.
Yes, I love that line. That is really, really good to be the person that you needed when you were growing up. Yeah.
So I listened to that and I carry that with me everywhere.
Now coming in as the photographer and doing more like the filming and recording aspect, I think that's the biggest thing that I still think lacks in the drag scene. Like no one really comes to do production or film. Like you're kind of banking off people doing it with their cell phones in the crowd. Like that's the only way that you have to like bring someone, like use your phone. Like I wish I can do it, but I have so much on my plate already. But I wish more people came and filmed a show, almost like a hard cam or like editing and putting it all together. Like I tried it a little bit with Misfits, and I will continue to do so if I'm free. I will like to come to shows and help film, because like I don't think like there's so many performances you talk about like what was a big moment for you, but there's no footage of it. It's just like you just kind of talked about it. You know what I mean?
I know. Like, oh, I know. I didn't have an actual photo of me performing until probably 8 months in drag.
Yeah, it's probably the biggest thing I would say in the local drag scene or the more independent drag scene. I'm not sure how it's referenced, but like that's almost non-existent. Like you're kind of banking on the people in the crowd to film. But then also when you're filming, it's so important for the performers, but then like you're not into the performance because like I'm the old school, like you go to a concert, you put your phone in your damn pocket and you enjoy and enjoy the performance. But like in your scene, like if you don't have it, you don't get it.
There's a bunch of us that actually, well, it's very new, but we're like hiring photographers. And when I first started taking photos, no one really appreciated it, but they didn't know that the appreciation was needed. Like until I stopped doing it for a while, people were like, why aren't you taking photos anymore? And I'm like, I wasn't appreciated. I don't want to be somewhere I'm not appreciated. Or they take it for granted. They're like, oh, you can do that with your cell phone. I was like, I can't catch you in a jump split with my cell phone unless I'm on video. So in clear, like the HD quality that I give, you're not going to get it.
Photography is hard.
Yeah.
Very hard. And a lot of production places like wrestling drag, they want the lights down because they want the other lights to pop and they want the smoke or whatever. And for a photographer, that's a night. I've tried it. You to get your shutter speed to where it needs to be, the aperture. And I'm now listen, now we're doing terminology. We're in.
I love it.
Yeah. But it's hard. It is so hard. And if you come with not a great lens that doesn't suck in the light, like you're screwed. Like it's over.
So I have a Nikon D750. Love my Nikon. Love it. And I have learned how to program. Like I will not shoot in anything but manual.
Yeah.
I can't.
That's very difficult to do.
And people were like, well, what do you do? And I was like, manual. I don't. Yeah.
And that's why 100% of people bring their cell phones because the program, it does everything for you.
Yep.
Yeah.
And they don't understand how much research I've had to do, how much editing I put into it. And like, they're like, oh, I take photos. And I was like, great. But your photo has so much shine on it. And I like
so much
I would
noise
love to educate you, but I'm not going to do that because you don't like when people educate you. There's a lot of people that are like that though.
Yeah. Or the best
I want to be educated.
Yeah. The best is you're probably going to give you flashbacks here. The show just happened. You took they don't know this, but you've probably taken over 1,000 photos. You're going to go home. You're going to touch them up, which takes tons and tons of work. And then you get a message the next day from 45 photos. People. Can I get my photos tomorrow? You're like, no. There's a lot that goes into just snapping it's not like I took up my phone and immediately send it to you.
Oh, right.
There's so much that goes into this.
Nope.
Your eye twitching. You're like, oh, I remember these days. Yeah. People do not know how hard photographers have it.
Tomorrow, and I'm like, no,
not a chance.
No, I can't.
I have to go through 1,200 photos. Yeah.
I work a 9 to 5, my friend. No, thank you.
Yeah. It's probably easier putting on all the makeup and the big hair and doing jump splits than probably getting 1,200 photos done in 3 days.
More than you know.
And you get the tips. You get tipped out. You know what I mean?
Right. Oh, man.
Well, let's transition from the photography nightmares to some of maybe the beginning stages of your career. How was it finding your place? Even being AFAB, that like you said, like that's still something that's somewhat new to the scene from what I'm learning, or it's not something that's widely done. How was it finding your place in the scene? And you kind of had that entrant being the photographer, but transitioning over.
I'm very grateful to say that most of the community that I'm surrounded by is so accepting. I think it had a lot to do for myself, at least, that I had so many supports before that. If you were coming into this industry, there's other AFAB queens that I've talked to that get bashed in other states. They are not accepted. They're not a drag queen because they're AFAB, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, not in my state. I don't know, because I was accepted. So people were like, oh, well, they bash us here. And I'm like, I can't say that. I was given such a great opportunity by many, many people. One of my idols, Michelle Lee Sterling, who does my necklace, says my jewelry. She's one of my drag aunts, and she has been doing this for 30 years. And I showed her a picture of my first look in drag, and she goes, I want to see more. And that was a drive. That was such a drive. Everyone's like, well, what drives you? I was like, to succeed.
I love that. I love how you guys say drag aunt, drag mom, drag kings. Like everything's very family based. Like in wrestling, it's like my trainer. This is my mentor. This is my trainer. But you like the drag side, like that's my drag mom. Like I think that's a cool thing. Once just to kind of break it down again, when you how do you find a drag mom or and get into that, and what is the purpose of having the drag mom?
So finding a drag mom, you have to be very patient and find the right one that fits you. If you're a horror queen and you're going after a pageant queen as a drag mom, I'm not sure you're gonna fit. But like I found a pageant queen that's my drag mom, and she asked me actually. But finding them is very hard because you have to trust that person, because they're the ones that educate you. They're the ones that teach you how to hone your skill, or teach you not to snatch tips out of people's hands or throw your money, or how to do a trade, whether it's wigs or jewelry or something to help you in the industry.
Yeah, that was a cool thing watching the shows now, like watching the RuPaul drag show, is that some people didn't know how to sew on the show, and they're trying to fight for a contract or trying to fight for a name, but then other competitors are still like the cattiness is for TV, but I think that kind of carries over to the scene where it like becomes cool to be that way, which I'm not a huge fan of, but I get that's the entertainment aspect for the television side. But at the end of the day, they're still helping each other, because there's another layer to drag that, you know, unlike every other industry, you're coming from a community that's not wildly accepted by the world. You know what I mean? Like there's people coming out as
each other.
Yeah, you're coming out as, you know, gay or trans or AFAB, trying to find something else, or your sexuality is also part of your art. And it's you're struggling because society is not accepting you for your sexuality or who you want to be as a person. And then on top of it, you're trying to perform as an artist and do that and become something else. And there's that almost that understanding between everybody in the scene that we all know we're fighting for something larger than just going out and being performers. And you help each other, where someone struggles in sewing or makeup, you're like, hey, can I help you with something? But you're still fighting for that spot in the competition, which is a cool element to drag that I think is fun to watch. And you actually learn a lot about someone's character, of how they conduct themselves, if they're willing to help others or keep everything to themselves.
Gatekeeping. We call that gatekeeping.
Yeah.
I actually just had that this weekend. Not gatekeeping, but just being supportive. I performed at Dragiators up in Wilkes-Barre at Heat. It's a gay bar up there, and once a month they have an opportunity to show your skill. And you can win $100 as a brand new performer coming in. You just sign up and you perform, and the audience votes for you. And I had this queen walk up to me, and she goes, my wig just won't stay still. And I looked at her and I was like, okay, well, this is what we're going to do. And we're spraying down her wig, and she whips her hair every time she performs, and I love her. But I was just like, you need to go get you some of this. Here's a bottle. I was like, I have 2. And she goes, you don't have to do that. And I was like, no. We need your wig to stay on. I was like, I want your wig to stay on. As like another girl's trying to struggle with her makeup. And I was like, baby, come here. I have that mom aspect to me that I'm just like, please let me help you.
Yeah. What was some of the hardest thing for you to learn when it came to the drag side of thing? When it came, like maybe the hair or the makeup, like what was the biggest thing that you had to learn?
I'm fortunate that I have a lot of people to teach me. But I have to say, just performing.
Okay.
The hardest thing I had to learn was how to perform and entertain a crowd, and to be able to reach out to each person and not take a tip. You give that person their moment. So it wasn't hard, but it was just something I needed to be taught. I watched it for so long, but I needed to be in that experience. Hair, I can't do hair. Estee Lauderdale does my hair, and she's amazing. She is my drag auntie. Michelle, she does my jewelry. I do know how to do jewelry because I'm a welder by trade.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that's my 9 to 5.
Really?
Yeah.
That's super cool. When I went to Votech, I was in the plumbing and heating shop, and next to us was the carpentry, and the next to that was the welding shop, and there was the only female in the welding department, and everyone's like, don't you want to be in cosmetology? She's like, no, that doesn't pay as much as welding. That's why I'm in welding. And I was like, get it, girl. Like, and she went through a lot of shit just being in school, being the only girl in an all boys welding shop. Like, I was like, good for you.
I'm also a forklift driver, so I go back and forth. But it just like being in a man's world. Being in a man's world.
No,
it's hard.
Absolutely.
It's hard.
A lot of people don't go into the trades. Like females don't do like women don't do a lot of trade work.
No.
And I can see why. I'm a man in trade work and I hate it because it's so toxic and like, I can fix anything. Give me a tool. I'm like, bro, easy. Like
you'd be surprised though. The company I work for, most of even the men are so supportive of what I do.
Yeah. That's awesome.
They're like, you do drag? That's so cool. I thought only men did drag. And I'm like, no.
I have so many conversations at work because they see my stuff and they're like, what are you doing? Are you in? I'm like, it's fun. Like, what do you get out of that? I'm like, it's art. I think a lot of people think from an outside world, especially the people maybe I associate with that are still learning both sides. They see it as like, they think it's like stripping. They think I'm going to like a strip club. I'm like, that's not the premise of all drag. Like there are aspects where it is sexualized, but not every show is that. It's kind of like I say, like pro wrestling. If I go to a death match, people are going to be cutting and bleeding, and you're going to be going through doors and tables. That is not the same as if you go to an all-age show where it's more about the storytelling and all that. Like there's different aspects to every art form. And I think what you think drag is not what drag is, because unfortunately I think they watch too much Fox News and they think that all drag is just striptease, and that's not the case at all.
They've never watched a pageant then.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. There's sexy sides to it where there is a sex appeal side, but it's not,
for
sure. You're not going to like, you're not getting a lap dance or it's not the same at all. Like,
nope.
Yep.
Nope. I'll tell you, a pageant is very different in that aspect because you have to be very proper.
Yeah.
You have to be very proper. You have to look a certain way. There has to be certain things on you. Your hair has to be a certain way. It's very... Think of Miss Gay America, think Miss America. Like you have to look the part, be the part. And actually their slogan is, you are a symbol of excellence.
I love that. Now you say you're more of a fan of the older school drag versus the newer school. What is the difference between the two, in your opinion?
So for like older school, it's big hair. The jewelry is always on. The nails are always done. Like a lot of the new school, they stop wearing pads, which is okay. That's totally prerogative. Some of them don't cinch their waist. So, I mean, I think it comes down to preference. But old school is definitely the big hair, the bigger looks. Like think Trixie Mattel on steroids.
Yeah. I love how they do the comedy aspect. Yeah, where like Trixie's like adds so much of the comedy to her, and then I think that's where they stand out the most, is they let their comedy and their personality shine through. And even like comedy didn't seem like it was a big thing for drag for a while because it was like that pageantry style. And then someone's kind of, I mean, RuPaul for the most part has kind of been comedy. Like they can do pageantry, but they're also very entertaining and funny. I actually just started watching the TV show where RuPaul's with the little girl and they travel the world and they like, I've been watching that.
AJ and the Queen.
Yes, I've been watching AJ. I'm telling you, I'm diving in. I'm learning. I'm trying my best.
There's only one season though.
I know. I haven't watched like all the way through. I kind of pick and choose when Lily's watching it, but from what I've seen, it's very entertaining. I think the last one I watched, they were in like a campground in the RV. And they were teaching them how to do grease.
I'm dead. The whole thing is so good, though.
Yeah.
So good.
I was like, wait. And then there's so many people who were on RuPaul's Drag Race who make cameos. So every time they go to a city or a club, like I like Bob the drag queen. Is it Bob, the one that went to jail? They were talking about how they went to jail for a while, and then like I love because they don't even talk like they're just like, "What's up?" It's like, and they're in full drag. I'm like, I love that so much. Like,
you don't know how many times that happens in a dressing room.
Yeah. I like when someone makes you, because the whole thing with drag at least is you're selling something, right? You're portraying a character, you're portraying an image, and then when you take that image and then just turn it on its head, like Bob is glamorous and beautiful, and it's like, what's going on, son? And you're like, what? I love I like that shock factor, like where you completely turn
Bob
somebody
the
on their
Drag
head.
King has a comedian, like they have a show. I love
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I
Like
have
they
to
go
look that
on
up.
tour watching I think it might be on Paramount Plus.
I have to look it up. I'm telling you, I'm teaching Lily wrestling and they're teaching me drag. So we're like crossing the worlds together so much. Actually, I just found out there's a whole promotion of wrestling that is all drag queens. Like it's drag queen wrestling. Yeah, I have to look into that more. We're talking so much. We're like halfway through the list. I love this, but this is a great conversation. I appreciate you so much. What have been some setbacks or adversities you had to overcome so far in your drag life?
I think it was my mental health.
Oh, being an entertainer sucks sometimes.
I have severe depression and anxiety. So trying to get myself out of bed to go to a show.
Yeah.
Or to pick up my camera or to put on makeup, it becomes a chore. But once I'm in it, it's so relieving, like that I can just be myself and have a good time. But I'll tell you, that is my biggest challenge, is sometimes my mental health gets the best of me.
Yeah.
Or I overthink my my style.
Yeah. I literally just this weekend had 2 shows and I was like, I'm just going to call off. I don't want to go. And the whole time I'm driving there, no music, dead silence. I don't want to talk. I'm in the car with people and I'm just not having a good time. And then I show up and I see the first person and I put on my game face and I put on my smile and I give that first hug and I'm like, this is why I'm here. And then I immediately snap out of it. Like, but the whole way there, I'm like, if anything happened, it's an excuse to turn around.
Yeah.
Yep.
Been there.
Yeah. And I also for us recording this, it is now Suicide Awareness Month. I noticed the tattoo. That's something I struggle with as well too. Sometimes I wake up and I'm like, I have to talk myself into wanting to be here in general. And that's another element to it. So
hearing, I'll tell you what, my girlfriend's been the best support of that.
Yes.
The best support of that.
It's hard because when you open up and tell people that you go through that, some people accept you and want to be around you. And some people go, you're too much for me. See you later.
Yep.
Lost a lot of friendships that way. It's hard. Very, very hard. What are some things you do to help you get yourself out of that funk?
So my biggest thing is actually just going to go shower. If I can make it to the shower, I'm good. Because that means I've got out of bed. I've brushed my teeth. I've brushed my hair. I've done the things that I need to do. If I can get to that shower, I will make it to my makeup. If I can make it to my makeup, I can make it to my next thing. Yeah. And I just take it 1 minute at a time.
Mine is getting out the front door. If even the shower, I can do the shower, but if I lay back down, because when I'm in that depressed and I'll sleep all day. But if I can get out the front door and in the car, that's probably where and to the venue. If I can get to the venue, that's where I'm. But once I show up, it's like now nobody cares about. I have that toxic masculinity in my system very heavily. So for me, is once I'm around the people and I'm in the environment and the eyes are on me, even though no one gives a shit, I'm really there. But to me, I feel like now you have to snap into it. Nobody cares about your bullshit. Go. That's kind of where I'm at, but everyone handles it differently. But for you, the shower, I did. Yeah. Interesting.
There's something about it. There's something about it. And then once I'm at the venue, it makes me even happier because I'm like, you don't know how many times I get called gorgeous or like beautiful or like, and there are people that do it. And I'm just like, thanks.
Yeah. The compliments. Yeah. I'm going to be honest.
Okay.
Once again, straight white male, but when I go to a community or a drag show and when I'm like, you're very, I'm like, thank you. And he did that. I've learned so many terminology. Bear is one I've been learning a lot about. Yep.
I love my bear community.
Yeah. They're like, you would be a perfect. I'm like, whatever. Really I'll take it. Go Bears. I went to my area. We're the Golden Bears, baby. I'll take it.
It's the beard. Everything.
Yeah,
you got it.
The little chubby daddy. I got a little. Yeah. I'm curvy, I guess. Yeah.
Love it.
when did you feel, I know you're still very new, or been not as long as some of the others, but when do you feel like you have hit your peak, or you felt like your comfortability really kicked in, or you feel like you feel like you've been accepted, you're one of everybody else?
The funny part is I've always felt that way.
That's awesome.
Just because of the support that I got the whole way through my first year doing drag. I've always felt part of the community. Mm-hmm. And because everyone kind of knew me from photography, they kind of got a gist of me already, and they already loved to work with me. And I was like, I can't wait to do drag so they can see what I can really do. So having that support and that backdrop, I guess, because mm-hmm. I think of it in photography terms, that backdrop to just give me a little bit more light.
Yeah. We relate so much. Like, as you're telling your stuff, I feel so connected, because I come from the production. I never trained to be a wrestler. But I've seen so much of it, and doing the production and learning how to film it, and being a lifelong fan. Like, sometimes my opinions and takes are wanted or valued because I see it from a different way. And even though I've never been in there or taken a hit or a bump or hit with anything, like, people like, hey, how was my match? I need to hear from you. And I was like, that means a lot. Like, coming from that photography side, where you feel like, or the production side, where you feel like you're lesser than, because people don't really give you those sides their roses enough. And then transitioning over into more of the art, like telling the stories and being part of the show. Like, it was very vindicating for me, where I felt like I was accepted. So, like, I relate heavily. I love this conversation. I'm enjoying this so much. Let's kind of go this with hitting your peak, going into like your first pageant for Miss Schuylkill County and representing us here in the Skook. How was it entering that, going into that, doing the whole process, and then winning it?
So literally the pageant was my 5th performance ever.
Wow. And nobody was upset. Like, nobody was like, what the, I've been here for 8 years now.
Funny enough, I competed against a queen that had been doing drag for 10 years.
And you're like, this is my 5th show. I don't even know what I'm doing. Give me that sash.
The difference was I put a lot of, I am very driven. If I want something, I'm going tenfold. So I worked for the first 2 months. I decided right away, I was like, I'm doing this pageant just for fun, like, so I could get like the feedback, because pageants have judges, and on that judges panel you get written scores and things that we get critiques to mm-hmm. tell you this is what you could do to make this better, or would have liked to seen this. So that's what I was going for. Honestly, I wasn't actually going to win, but it
was more like a rep, right?
Yeah, I'm like, I'm not mad that I did, but I'm like, at the same time, I stood there in front of the girl I was competing against, the queen I was competing against, and they announced her as the first alternate and me winning. And I just stood there and I go, what? And she goes, honey, you won. And I go, I did what? But going into it, it was very like, you have to think about your presentation look and what gown you're going to wear, your talent. What is your talent?
So you have to do almost like a talent show aspect, where you have to bring something in. What was your talent that you brought in? So
when you go in and you're doing a lip sync, just like you would any other show, mm-hmm. you're performing, but you have to tell a story, because you're not going out into a crowd. You're not going out into an audience. You are performing just for these judges.
Interesting. I think I like that more, be honest with you.
It's harder.
Really? It
is harder, because with the audience, you get such a reaction that you kind
mm-hmm.
of play off of them.
Gotcha.
This, you have to perform like you are on stage for the musical.
Perform for your life.
Yeah, literally. So like I did America's Sweetheart by Elle King.
Okay.
And as I walked out, I was in this beautiful black gown, blah, 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 and high heels. And as I'm walking out, I kick off my heels and I put on my cowboy boots. And I eventually tear off the gown and I reveal a jumpsuit with a sequin skirt and my cowboy boots. And I line danced to America's Sweetheart.
That's awesome. So that was like, you kind of broke a little tradition by doing something different, but it resonated.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
Because I just showed everybody that I don't have to be this cookie cutter pageant girl. Mm-hmm. I can be who I am, but still be what you want to see.
Do you think coming into the contest with I'm going to come in and have fun and learn from this experience, and come in almost like it's a rep or it's a moment to learn, and with zero expectations of winning. Do you think that helped you? Like,
Yes.
is that a mind state that you carry on through all shows? Like, whatever happens, just come and have fun and learn from the experience.
I am forever learning, and I will always say that, whether it's photography, drag, whatever I'm doing, I want to learn as much as I possibly can to be the best that I can. But I'd never want to be better than anybody else.
Mm-hmm.
I want to be better than the person I was the day before.
You're competing against yourself, not everybody else.
Yep.
It's a great mindset to go into it, especially if someone who's listening who wants to enter whatever it is that you're chasing, your dream, or whatever it is you want to be. Don't compare, because I've done this. I compare myself to other podcasters and other people in my industry, or what people who do. And once I was like, I don't want to be the next version of them. I want to be the first me. And it helped my mental health, and it helped my progression so much. But when you find someone else who's a content creator or doing things, learn from them, but don't be them. Still stay true to who you are.
I like to collaborate with people.
Love that.
That's different. I love to collaborate with people, and I've been invited to shows to do duets and stuff like that, and I love that. But I was like, I will never be better than anybody else. I just want to be better than the girl I was the day before, the queen I was the day before. And that's what a pageant was really about for me, is I just wanted to better my drag.
Yeah, I'm learning now to do more character work, because when I do the wrestling, I'm doing more of the bad guy stuff. Like we call it heel work, where like I have to like kind of make fun of people, but I'm also like someone who was bullied their whole life, so I'm really good at channeling like what was said to me that hurt, and then I have to find how to not hurt feelings but still be the bad guy. And
I love that.
I got in some trouble. Some wrestlers like, yo, too much. And I'm like, I'm sorry. I was like, I'm really sorry. But if I get to like, ooh, then I feel like I've done something. Like I need to invoke a reaction, but you need to also realize that I don't actually hate you.
Right.
But listen, if you're a shithead and you work the show I'm on, it's for you to decide. I got to leave a little veil, right? I love it.
We get shady on the mics. We get shady on the mics all the time,
little.
but we're always doing it in fun, and like we're doing it to your face.
Yes.
We're never going to do it behind, like we don't do it behind your back if we're doing it on the microphone.
Oh,
you know
there's
what I mean?
nothing I'm going to say behind your back that I would not say directly to you. So if you heard I was talking shit, you can come and hear it personally. And if I said it to them, I said it because I know they have a big mouth and I wanted you to hear it. Listen, that's why I like drag. I like a little sassiness too. So we kind of touched on to the Miss Schuylkill County. I would say, what are some other moments or accomplishments that for you that hit? So I want to kind of dive into the Schuylkill County thing. I love the fact I am from the 570. I love the fact I am a skook. Even if I hit tomorrow and I'm a billionaire, I would still live in this shitty little county for all of its flaws, for all the things that I find beautiful about it. A lot of people want to leave where they're from because it's not accepting, or maybe they're not open-minded. But I always come from the mindset of it doesn't get better unless someone fights to make the change. Yeah. And I want to show why. Like the background is my town. Like I believe my color scheme is my high school color scheme. I hated high school growing up, but it made me who I am, and I'm proud of who I am because of where I came from. And I know it has its flaws, I know it has its bads, but I want to make it better. But there's some things about the Schuylkill that I truly, truly love. Now you're normally not from Schuylkill County, but coming here and winning and representing Schuylkill County, have you dove into the area to find like some gems or people, things that like, so you kind of like, because I know I would obsess with that if I was representing somewhere. Like I want to learn more about it. Like Gears iced tea. Are you a Gears iced tea?
Look, I love Gears green tea. That is my favorite.
You're in. You're Schuylkill forever.
I love it.
Yeah.
I rode horses in Ringtown for a very long time, and
that's where the horses were I took care of. Everyone's horses are in Ringtown.
love. But yeah, Schuylkill County. So that's where my drag mother is from, and their partner, as well as my drag aunt, which is actually their biological brother. Awesome. So when I wanted to go into this pageant, they're like, just do it, just try it. You know what I mean? Like, so they were very supportive to go into it. So when I went in and did a little more research into Schuylkill County, their pride is very, very big, actually. Their pride is very big. But of course, like, it's hard to find venues. It's so hard to find venues. It's very close-minded.
This year's pride? So I had to drive through Pottsville to get to the School County Fairgrounds, which I've never been to before, which I thought was a cool little venue tucked in the middle of nowhere. But a lot of times, like, I feel like when things are done in Schuylkill County, and I know sometimes we have a rivalry between each side of the mountain. Like one side says the other side gets everything and they get mad about it. Like everything goes to Pottsville, which is fine. It's our biggest town. When people say where you're from and I say Schuylkill County, they say where, and I say Pottsville. They're like, oh, okay. And if they don't know Pottsville, I say Hazleton. If they don't know Hazleton, I say I'm a Howard from Harrisburg.
There you go.
But I feel like Pottsville has that moniker. They've earned it, right? They're the bigger city. They have the most eyes. I wish Pride was treated like a lot of other venues, and I might be getting some heat for this. I don't care. Be mad at me. Change it. I love School County Fairgrounds. I love that there's parking. I love that. That aspect is beautiful, but I don't like when School County Pride is doing a thing and I'm driving through Pottsville and there's 4 city blocks shut down because they're doing a food truck festival or something else going on. Why are you taking away from something? Like I got upset about it. I was like, why is this? Why are they shutting? Like, why is this happen? Why are they doing it the same day? Why are you booking against something that's important? Like during Pride Month, like work with them. Pride should be in downtown Pottsville like everyone else, and the food truck should be part of it, and they should all be collaborating for a bigger cause of giving more eyes on that thing. Now, that being said, when I got there, it was packed. There was a lot of people there. I wish there was more vendors. I wish there was more things. It'll grow. I'm sure as it goes, because the person who puts on School County Pride, I don't know them personally. I've talked to them. I talked to them a bunch. They're a beautiful person. They work so hard to put Pride and the community and the LGBT views in School County, and they do such a good job doing it. Like I actually walked up to them and I was like, I consider myself a journalist. I take pride in School County. I'm aware of who they are. And I went up, I said, you do a fantastic job. I know you don't know really who I am, but I know who you are, and you're beautiful and you do an amazing job. And I'm proud of you. And this is my first Pride and I'm glad I'm here. Thank you. And they're just like, have a sticker. Like they just, I think I still have it here. I got the sticker. Yeah. But, actually, there it is right there.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah. So it was good. And I wanted to keep, so for you saying it's bigger and it's good, it made me feel really good you saying that, because I'm like, I wish it was more, if that makes sense. And not from like, I think it should be bigger, but I think more people should come out and support. I think more people should be flying their ally flags and going to these events, because one of the things I want to say from someone who's not a member of the community, but I consider myself an ally of it, go out and experience it. If you don't want to go to a drag show, or just go to a Pride and just go and learn about what the community had to go through to just be accepted and how hard it's been for them, and just go and be supportive. Because when I got there, it was such a loving, cool experience that everyone just had a blast. And if you don't want to watch the drag, you can walk around and get the food and get to see the vendors and people who are selling their crafts, who are also part of the community. And it was just a beautiful day. I loved that I was there.
Good. I'm really glad that you came. I'm really glad.
It's yearly. I'll be there I went to Wilkes-Barre that year, and I went to School County that year. And then I found out like Harrisburg does it the next month. Yep. They kind of go away from the Pride Month, so they can kind of make it more about the event, like which is weird, July. But it's a smarter way of doing it, maybe, because you're not competing with everybody else's.
Well, Pride is 365, you know.
Yes, absolutely.
But I mean, we try and jam so much into June that everybody's like, we're moving this to July. I think actually Columbia County's is October. I
love that. Spooky season. It's not as hot.
Right?
I'm into it.
Yeah. I believe I'm performing in them, actually.
Really?
Yes. I know actually a bunch of performers that are. So the Outfest down in Bloomsburg is in October. I think it's actually the 14th of October.
I'm booked that day.
But yeah, that's when it is. It's a Sunday. So it's but it's so welcoming. Pride is about just being ourselves and loving each other.
Yeah. That's why doing these interviews, like with drag queens and people in the community, I didn't want to just segregate it to 1 month a year. Like I try to get people, I try to have one drag performer on every month. I actually have 2. I'm excited for that. So you and Delaney are on there, as well as Scarcity. We used to be in the Pennsylvania scene and then moved to Texas. I met them at Miss Misfit show. One of the best facial expressions. I like the facial expressions. If you can sell me with your face, you could be a terrible dancer and performer. But if you have that face and that confidence, it wins me over
Love it.
every time. That's what I look for as performance. With saying before, when people are going for the money, sometimes there's a grace to that. Are you like immediately, are you dancing to perform and they look at the money and they immediately stop almost dancing and they walk over and take the $1 and then go back to dancing? I'm like, boo, work on that. Like respectfully. Yeah. It takes me out of it sometimes.
I have people put it places.
Yeah, that works too. Yeah.
I found $5 bills the next day in places that I did not know that they put that $5 bill. I'm just saying. Just saying.
Yeah, people go hard in the paint.
Yeah.
This is my favorite part because this is where I get to learn names and then I go back in the editing and I write them down to possibly for future episodes or better conversations, because especially when I have such a good conversation that we're having here today, which I really appreciate. This is one of my favorite ones. Who are some influences or role models? And it could be people on TV or people you've worked with on the local scene.
So Michelle Lee Sterling is probably my biggest role model, and Divinity Cruz.
That's a great name.
Funny enough, that is her drag daughter.
Really?
Divinity Cruz is Michelle's drag daughter, but Michelle was Miss Gay Pennsylvania back in 1999. And she's the one that does my jewelry and everything like that. But she is also such a wealth of knowledge. And everything I just blurt things out to her. And I'm like, okay, what do you think about this? If I put this stone here, is this okay? Like, what would I do with this? Does this hair look with this outfit? Whatever. But she is never, she acts like she's big and bad. She's not. She's actually the sweetest person. She's actually the sweetest person. And she has been doing this for almost 30 years and she can still turn it out. And I admire that. But Divinity Cruz is also one where she has such a grace and elegance to her. And she's so polite and kind. And I look up to that. Like,
now, are they the ones from the School County area?
Michelle is.
Okay.
Michelle is from School County. She Pine Grove.
Okay. Wow. That's a conversation. Well, because once again, growing up in this area and it's been so close-minded and sheltered and not knowing about any of that, it would be very interesting to hear from someone who grew up in the same area I have to kind of see how they navigated it. Because wow, it shocks me that to hear like, oh, there's just like every time they try to do a drag show in Pottsville, it's always being protested and the venue gets cold feet and they shut down. And I think Rumors was the only one doing it, but now Rumors I don't think is owned by the same people. And that was more, they called it the gay bar in town, but I didn't look at it that way. I just went, like, I thought it was a cool place to be, but they changed ownership. So I think they lost that venue. Just putting it out there. I know some venues who are interested in some drag shows in School County. So if you know anyone who wants to throw a show together, I know some places who are willing to do it. So let's talk and let's get more stuff in School County because I think they want it and they need it. Yes, there's some pretty cool venues too. Some big places, not bigger, but bigger venue style places. Okay. So we can do some fun stuff. Yeah. I've been working on that for a couple of weeks now, just talking to different venues. I'm like, so I can't put a ring in here, but I'm learning more about the drag scene, and I think more of that should be in this area. So if you're interested, let me know. I can talk to someone, and they can bring some people in. But I know like drag is kind of like wrestling when they have the territories. Like people have certain spots, and they only run in those areas. My
drag mother and their biological brother, but their drag sister, I guess. Anyway, that's kind of their area.
Yeah.
So absolutely.
Yeah, let's get it going. I want more of that in the area. And I think Miss Misfit does amazing too with their shows in the Harrisburg area. They're doing so because every show they bring in a different style of. I think you're on the next one, right?
Yes.
You are. That's right. They bring in a different style of person every show, and it's Disney villains. I missed the emo one, which upset me so much because I love that. And then I missed the Pokemon one because I'm a huge Pokemon nerd.
And so
they did amazing. Yeah.
Love her.
Yeah. There's one of this is the earring that I bought with them off School County Pride that I re-pierced my ear that I haven't had since I'm 7 years old. And I walked around my little earring.
I love that.
Yeah.
Oh, I love them.
I thought it was funny that it was a cracker. But yes. So what are some goals you have set for yourself personally or in your industry that you would like to accomplish? There's a couple months left in this year, or maybe even shoot for next year.
So end goal, well, not end goal, but like ultimate goal through my drag career in general. They just opened Miss Gay America Femme, which opens up to AFAB performers.
So it would be an AFAB only style competition?
It would be the same style of competition you would get with Miss Gay America, but it would be open to the femme division. So it would be their own division of drag.
I love that. So I don't think it's bad. Maybe this is where we can kind of spitball. And I'm sorry it's going long. If I'm going too long and you need to shut up, I will. But I'm really enjoying the conversation. But like I think so for now, one of the biggest things now that people talk about, and it's politicized and it's all over everything, is like sports. How trans people fit into sports and how they should they compete here. And I love sports competition. I understand there is a sport science to everything. I don't have all the answers, but if you don't have conversations, you don't develop and move forward. Right. So even in a drag community or an LGBT community, you guys are separating competition by saying, hey, this is pageant, this is horror, this is maybe trans, this is AFAB. And that's good to not to separate everybody, but to give everyone an opportunity to compete.
Yeah.
So if it's happening there, maybe we should adapt that into where everyone's hot button topic is. Give more trans athletes an opportunity to compete. And if they compete against other trans, they're only competing now in competitions because there's not enough representation or not enough people out there to know they're even able to do it. But if they're out there being the forerunners, then maybe they have an Olympic trans games, which would be beautiful. And then we can it's not a hard thing to figure out, people. Exactly. You don't enter something with hatred. You enter something with a solution to make it better for everybody else. So it's awesome to hear that they're adding that category, because it was something that, from my understanding in the drag community, wasn't always there.
No, not in that system. There's multiple systems, don't get me wrong, that have their own femme division, actually. But this is very new, and I want to follow in the drag family footsteps. Where like I want to compete for that. That's something that's a goal. That's an end goal for me. I love that. That's super exciting. You're gonna hit it. I'm telling you, you're gonna hit it because you have a great attitude and you go at everything with a very positive mindset. So I can't. And when you're competing, I'll be there. I'm gonna come and support. Yeah, we'll get it done. Yeah, I love that. I love that. You're gonna have to travel, but I mean, I travel all the time. I used to drive to all the way to Rio Grande, New Jersey, the Jersey Shore, do a show, get there at 7 a.m, and then drive home and be back at like 3:30 because hotels are expensive. To Washington D.C. next month, it's fine. Yeah. That's not as bad. Everything's like 3 to 4 hours for us. That's everything. You know, what I mean? We're kind of in that centralized area where everything cool is like 3-4 hour drive. Outside of drag, we talked about photography, we talked about horses, but what are some other hobbies or interests that you do? So when you're winding down, you maybe watch some TV, read a book. What are you into? So the girlfriend and I are definitely Supernatural fans. I've never watched the show. I love me some Dean Winchester. I'm not gonna lie. Now, do you like the show aspect? Or do you like the paranormal aspect with it as well? Both. Awesome. Both. I'm very into the paranormal, but the girlfriend likes the horror and I like the paranormal, so we kind of mix. Yeah, it's all in the same realm. Yeah. Right. So she likes to go to haunted houses where I'm like, I'm just gonna watch it on TV. I love you, but I don't want someone jumping out and scaring me. No. I was no. What is your favorite, like, when it comes to the paranormal? Are you more into like the ghost demonology, or the cryptids, or the metaphysical, like I don't want to call them rocks, gems or crystals? Like, where do you fall when it comes into that realm? I'm very more into like believing that there are ghosts out there somewhere. Okay. Like I don't subscribe to ghosts. I've been to a lot of haunted places. Here's my theory. I've had too many instances to not believe. All right. I'm interested. We're going to have you back on for Truth Behind Illusion soon. Ooh. I feel like there's been more people dead than ever alive, and that's true, right? That's a thing. Yeah. If that's the case, it'd be like Ghostbusters. There'd be ghosts everywhere. Yeah, and I think what ruins ghosts for me, and that I love going to those places and like, what if? You know what I mean? I've been to tons of them. Like the Jim Thorpe prison, love going there. Okay. But I hate when I watch Zach Bag. He's the worst. I think he's the worst representation of paranormal of all time. And then he goes to like Germany, and the ghost is like, hi. And I'm like, he said hi. I'm like, bro, you're talking to a 17th century German ghost. He doesn't speak English, guy. Stop. Like, stop it, Zach Baggins, demonologist. Yeah. I love cryptids.
I love cryptids. Like, give me a Bigfoot, give me a squonk, give me a Mothman. I think it's like, could you imagine if monsters were really somewhere out there? I want to live in that world.
That's fair.
Yeah, I love the monsters and the occulty stuff. Like everyone, I always tell, like, I love like the Baphomets and like the Blackcraft and the witchy and this Satanists.
I'm very big into numbers and tarot cards.
I got the 666 there, yeah. But also my business card is a tarot. So I got someone to do art of me as the devil card. So my new business card that I'm getting made is like a tarot card.
I love that.
Yeah, I'm so excited to get them printed. Yeah, I love that. So what's your favorite episode or thing about Supernatural?
I've got to say probably when they open the gates of hell.
Okay, so each season or show is like they're going after a different like a cryptid or a ghost or a demon.
Oh yeah, or like some kind of other magical creature, because it's not just like it's vampires. It's everything.
I should probably try it.
Yeah, you probably should just try it because again, they open the gates of hell. Like,
you know what I think ruined it for me? I think at the same time that show came out, that Prison Break was a show, and it was like the heartthrob dude who like the whole time like looked like a glamour model the whole show, and I think I grouped all those shows together, and I was like, I don't care, I'm not watching. Like Vampire Diaries, like the one guy whose face is just stuck like this the whole time. And I think like all three of those shows are all put in the same thing. And I seen the like all like those guys, and I'm like, they're just gonna be two hunky guys who go and it's like a chick flick show. I'm not watching it, but I should give it a shot. I'm gonna give it a shot. Yeah, like, there's like 100 seasons, right?
There's probably like 17 seasons. So there's a lot. We'll
dive in. I will watch an episode tonight. I'll feed you back and let you know where I'm at. I didn't think I'd be watching drag shows, but here we are. So I'm open your mind, people. Try things, explore. Yes, absolutely. So if you were gonna give some words of encouragement to a beginner in this scene, or if someone's just chasing their dreams in general, what would you tell them? We gave a lot of good advice today. So if we were to summarize that,
just do it. Try it. Just do it and put every ounce of drive. Yeah, don't wait for tomorrow. Go out and promote. And that's my biggest advice. Promote yourself. Mm-hmm. Go out to the shows. Talk to the people that know about the craft already, and just educate yourself. See what you want to do and do it.
That's the biggest one. Just get there. Show up. Yeah. If you want to be in wrestling or a drag performer or a musician or anything, show up and just get out of your comfort zone and go talk to somebody and be like, hey, I'm kind of interested. And if they're a good performer and they love their craft, them hearing you say, I think I'm interested in this, is going to light something in them, and they're going to attach themselves to you because we want people in their industries to make it grow. And we love expressing our love for it to other people.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Or even just turning them in the direction that they want to go. Mm-hmm. Because like I said, if I'm a pageant queen and a horror queen comes up to me and goes, hey, can you help me? And I'm going to be like, so I'm not the best person for you, but I do know somebody for you.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Insert
point them in the right
names.
direction.
Yeah.
Point them in the right direction.
Would you ever go into a different style? Like, I know you really do the pageantry. Did you ever thought like, I'm going to try a horror one this week, or I want to become a monster, or I want to try Drag King, or like those different venues?
So funny enough, next month I'm actually portraying Beetlejuice.
Ooh.
I just had a wig made and I'm very excited for it. But I'm portraying Beetlejuice in toxicology department on the 5th. And I'm very excited, very nervous, but I'm going to try a little bit of comedy.
Okay.
I'm going to try a little bit of comedy. And I'm also doing a haunted doll number and bringing in The Shining a little bit.
I love that.
So we're going all horror comedy mixed, and I'm actually doing a little bit of burlesque. So
nice.
that's my biggest thing I keep telling people is challenge yourself.
Mm-hmm.
I think
that's good to come out of your comfort zone a little bit.
Yeah, I know a lot of queens that all they do is burlesque, and I was like, I love that. I want to see you do a country number, and they look at me, and I'm like, challenge
just putting
yourself.
Country music on for me is a challenge.
But like find that there's rock country now. Like find something that fits
Zach
your
Brown
niche
band
and go with it. Go with it.
Honestly, the newer country is getting me. Like, I think Taylor Swift might have got me a little bit where she added a little pop to it. So Taylor maybe became a little bit of a Swiftie, but like Zach Brown and the Jelly Roll and
Jelly Roll.
I don't think he's considered country, but is it Teddy Swims or is he more like R&B?
I think
he totes the line. He totes the line.
Yeah, he totes that line.
Yeah, they're all really good.
But just like find that niche and be like, okay, you said country. Let's try a little bit of this. Yeah.
Last question here. What are you grateful for, and are you currently happy?
I'm very grateful. I'm very grateful for the support and love of my drag family and my girlfriend. And all of that makes me completely happy. All of it.
Our conversation today made me very happy. I was having one of those moments earlier where I was just like laying in bed and I was like, snooze. Oh. And I was just like, it's one of those things where I do the podcast. I'm like, I'm going to fuck this up. I'm not going to do well. And then you pop on the screen and we start chatting and I'm in it. I love it. So
I love that.
Yeah. So I'm very, very thankful for this conversation. I'd love to have more chats with you and collaborate. Yeah. We can talk, maybe we'll do a paranormal episode or we'll talk supernatural because I am going to start watching it. Yes. But I really, really appreciate you. Where can people, the links will all be below, but where do people can find you and support you?
Instagram, you'll find me Vindicticia Glamour. But on Facebook, you can find me with Jackie Hoffner. Mm-hmm. They're welcome to add me on there and whatever. Other than that, just find me on different pages. Honestly, there's a lot of shows coming up. But I'd love to see everybody. I love meeting new people. Mm-hmm. I love meeting new people. So it's just fun for me. And, you could probably tell who I am by my smile.
Yeah.
Apparently that's
I think it's so interesting seeing people out of like, even in wrestling, when someone's in character and you see them out of character or out of their gear and they're in their normal street gear. Like there's a guy in wrestling named Donnie Bambino and he dresses like super Italian and he comes out and he talks and he's got everything. And then I seen him at like, we went to go hang out at a bar one night and he's super emo. Like he had his ears pierced and he's rocking. I'm like, you're a different person. Like, but seeing like performers, like drag performers, and you see them out of makeup, you're like, oh my goodness, like you're gorgeous in character. You're even better looking out. Like I would just go as that. You're killing it. Like it's such a cool like reveal. Yeah. No, I get it all the time. They're like my friends and family that come to shows, and they're like, oh my god, that's you. I'm like, that's me. They're like, we only knew because of your smile. Yeah. So I was noticing through your photos, you had a photo of someone did like a cartoon of you.
Yes.
Is that on merchandise or t-shirts or anything?
Not quite yet.
We need to get on that ball. That's a really cool art drawing of you. Like put like a cool little, your name or the whole nine and then put that on a t-shirt. Like I think drag t-shirts are so underrated. Like I like the cartoon of like, because already in drag, you're putting out this larger than life, almost cartoonish character of yourself, right? You're exaggerated everything. So then when someone does that art form of something like the Trixie shirts, things where it's like a cartoon of Trixie, they're great shirts. I think so. Whoever did that art killed it, and you should definitely put that on t-shirts. If you need help,
he's from Britain.
Really?
His name is John. Yeah, John the artist, and he typically draws dick pics.
Really?
Yeah, no joke.
Nothing wrong with some dick art.
But I'll tell you what, he's talented at what he does.
Yeah. If you need help with that, hit me up. I have some print on demand websites where you can just kind of build your own site through them, and I could teach you how to do it. If you need to redo the art to make it more like t-shirt ready, I could help you with it. But I think you should definitely put that on a t-shirt just because I want to buy one. I'm a t-shirt collector. I have shirts for everything. But I think you should definitely get that going. Get some t-shirts and merch out there. I have a whole, this is my sticker and business cards pile. I have to go through it. I used to sticker bomb all of my desks and stuff, but I like this one. Like, here we go here. My little Miss Misfit. Yeah, there's two of them. The Miss Misfit and then the Devil Miss Misfit.
Ooh, I live.
Yeah. We got to get you in there. Got to get you with those.
Yes. I have a sticker. I just haven't been. I get them printed. I gotta get them printed.
I tell you, two things: merchandise and production at shows. That's the only thing that this drag scene needs, because it's not enough of that. You go to them like, do you have like a shirt I can buy or a t-shirt or
eat
stickers?
That up, I'll tell you.
Yeah. more queens need to get it. Queens, kings, and
Absolutely.
monsters need to get that aspect going. Set up a merch table. We'll pro wrestling this shit out of this local scene. I have some ideas. We'll help grow this.
I love it.
Yes. Thank you so much for your time.
Absolutely.
I had an absolute blast recording with you. We definitely got to do this again soon.
Yes.
Everyone, please go and support. Go see your local shows. Go to your local events or Pride and just support. I know we're hearing things on the news and everything's so divided amongst people. It doesn't matter. Like regardless of what people's, I don't like religion, but whatever their religion are, let them praise whatever imaginary friend they have. You know what I mean? Or anything like that. Let's accept people for, at the end of the day, we only have one shot on this spinning rock, maybe in case you have a different religion, but we're only here possibly one time. And if that's the case, don't waste it hating each other because of differences. Accept one another. Get out of your comfort zone. Go learn new things, experience new things, love each other. The only thing we should not like in the world is Dallas Cowboy fans. Let's just, you know what I mean? Everything else is fine, but but I love you all. Thank you so much once again for this amazing conversation. It might be one of my longest podcasts in a while, but it was totally worth it. But we're going to get out of here. Here's some music by the Converse Kid. We'll see you next time. We're out of here.